What up, peeps? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Anxiety Joe, check it in here. Actually, up in the Pocono Mountains, visiting my parents for the day. And, it's so beautiful and peaceful up here. And I rarely get a chance to come up here and just take a walk. So I figured, hey, I'll do my check-in while I do that. But I wanted to talk about today. I had a really, really rough night last night. It was weird, and I mentioned it in my video yesterday. And it's day 14, I think I said. Yeah, so we made it 2 weeks. All right, 50 more. We're going to be, we're going to live up to what we said. So, I'm on my way. Anyway, some things, going through this process of learning about myself and really digging deep into, who I am. And, I'm learning so much, man. I have these, it's just like this overflow of information. And a lot of it has to do with becoming spiritual for the first time in my life. I've never been a spiritual person, ever. And I always struggled with God, and is there a God? Do I believe in God? And, there's the big, the white man with the white beard in the sky that watches us all the time. And if you don't believe in him, then you go to hell forever and all that stuff. And, okay, there's mad religions, so which religion's right, if any of them are right? So I always struggle with that. And, in this whole growth process, I think that I've found, I know now because I feel it, I found something that works for me anyway, and is working for me. Part of it working for me is actually living in my suffering and my pain. That myself, my ego self, and when I say ego, I don't mean ego. Quick explanation for people that don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just learning this now. The spiritual teachers of Buddhism and enlightenment and a lot of this, they say that there's two selves. There is the ego self. They call it. It has many names, but it's what we're normally used to dealing with. It's hi, I'm Joe, and I work here, and I have an apartment, and I drive this car, and all the physical things, and even thoughts, and so it's mind, body. That's the ego self, and then there is your higher self, which is your higher consciousness. And from what they believe, and I believe now, in learning this over the past few months, that we are a part of a collective, greater, higher consciousness, where we are all a part of one larger sum of consciousness. And it's explained a lot to me about who I am and where I'm going, and to be honest, a lot of my flaws that have been pointed out by some key people in my life, exes, family, ex-friends, current friends, people that either matter a lot to me now or used to. And I chose to ignore because my ego self was always running the show. And, because of that, part of that was, and this is hard to talk about, but, I've always had a issue with self-hatred. I don't know where it comes from. At this point, I think it's a moot point about where it came from, because, that's the past. But in exploring myself and my higher consciousness and spirituality in general, I'm learning that, a lot of my anxiety and depression and a lot of that stuff that we put names on for every, normal life stems from my own self-hatred and hating, not being comfortable in who I am, and, and then thus you project that on the others, and or you handle situations poorly or react poorly. And this is still something I struggle with to this day, and it's suffering. It is. People don't understand. Some people don't understand, I should say, what it's like to actually really hate yourself and not be comfortable with who you are. And they, in the teachings, they teach you that it's only in suffering and only in losing the things we love in life, and and feeling that pain and all, that we actually become enlightened. Now, by no means am I saying I'm enlightened, but there's a few things that are really starting to click with me and resonate with me, and I feel that this is really a good, at least for me, it's helping me connect the dots a little bit. And it's been through the meditation that I talk and preach so much about, and I preach it because I practice it, and because it's been helping. And even through rough times, I had a really rough night last night, and without getting too specific, very strange. I got out of a long relationship that was unhealthy, and both of our faults. And there was, I was as much to blame as she was, and so there was some things said to me about me that really stuck with me, and was like, well, is that true, or is she just being a bitch? Or I think she's just being a bitch. And at the time, that's what you think. You think, they're just being assholes and they're being mean, and because you were being mean, and who can be meaner? And it turns into that battle. But upon reflecting on it, I realized that there's some truth to it. And, the search for your higher consciousness and your higher self is a search that begins inward and then comes out. Instead of seeking medication and outside things to make you happy, like we've been conditioned to do our entire lives. I think these guys nailed it on the head hundreds of thousands of years ago. These ancients that had so much wisdom and understanding of their higher selves and of what's going on. As these dudes pull up, let me And I really think that it comes down to, I don't know, the two realities kind of coexist, you could say. Like, of course we live in the one and it's real. There's a stick in my hand, there's dudes behind me, there's a truck, there's trees, this is real life. And then there's the other shit. There is the higher self. And, having to go on this journey and actually be like, okay, I have to go to the root of the problem in order to end the suffering and become free. And what I mean by free is really free in your head and really free from self-hatred and all the other stuff that we do to beat ourselves up when we have anxiety, depression, all kinds of stuff like that, mental issues. And it's really hard and it hurts, and it's like, wow, you really start discovering some truths about yourself when you are honest and you don't look at it through ego, and you are just saying, okay, I just want to be real about this, and I really want to figure out, what's going on with me, and why am I so unhappy, and why am I 37 and, constantly behind the 8 ball. And, no matter what my intentions are, if I have good intentions or not, I end up, in a bad spot, always. And I'm coming to the realization that it's because I've always looked outside for happiness, whether through people, and, my last one was one of the strongest loves of my life I've ever had. And, and so the harder I clinged and the harder I held on, the more suffering it became. And, and that's just an example. There's a million other examples I could use. But this video's starting to get a little long. But it's you really want to challenge yourself, go ahead and start looking inward at the root of the problem, the root of your issues. Like, where is this coming from? Where's the anger and the pain and the anxiousness and the nervousness and the manic thoughts? Where's this all coming from? And for me, anyway, it's only been through meditation and just absorbing all these teachings and reading, and I'm just surrounding myself with this stuff in combination with medication, in combination with going to see a psychologist. I'm doing everything I can because I feel like my survival depends on it. Because you can only go so long being unhappy in life, and who wants to live like that? And you maybe just like me, maybe you do live like that. And I feel like that if I continue with these studies and these meditations, that I'll find a way and stay true to myself. And stay true and really, really honest with the higher self, and let the higher self kind of take hold, and not the ego self that, wants to tell me how shitty of a person I am, or how ugly I am, or how I'm not good enough, or, how, oh, you fucked everything up, and all those things. I can continue listening to that. Or I can start to listen to my higher self that says, dude, you're a good-looking motherfucker. And not only that, you're a really cool dude. And not only that, I love you, man. And it feels a lot better to listen to that higher consciousness. And it boils down to making a choice. And I am beginning to make that choice. And even though I still suffer because I go back and forth between the selves, because I've been trained my entire life to be the ego self. But I'm learning how to ascend to the higher self, and I know all of this might sound very crazy to some people, but it's really weird. You really start to get a new perspective on life. And I really mean it. You start to see it through like a new set of eyes. And, I really look forward to when, the ratio becomes, more higher self and less ego self. And it's going to take some practice. It's going to take a lot more learning and a lot more meditating, a lot more action and love. It comes down to, Jim Carrey said it in a famous speech. It comes down to two things: fear and love. And which one are you going to choose? And for most of my life, I chose fear. And that manifests as anxiety and self-hate. And so today I choose love. And it can be a pretty hard thing to not go back in history and go back in the past and project into the future, but only just be now, here, now. This is all we have, is this moment. So, I don't know, 2 weeks on YouTube. It's been about 2 months of soul searching, and I feel like I'm getting somewhere. And I don't know if anybody, I really hope people can take something from these videos and apply it to their lives. And, through my honesty and putting my shit out there, maybe I can help other people. Because hating yourself isn't the way. Hating others isn't the way. And it only leads to more suffering, more pain. So, choose love. Choose it. Choice is yours. Peace.